Action on Chris Johnson. He's going to slow down. No continuation bet. Checks to Paul Volpe. And Volpe's going to take control here, making a bet of 90,000.
Well, Chris going to make the call.
Chris in a bit of trouble right now.
WPT Global is your destination for big Sunday tournaments. You'll find tournament buy-ins at all levels and huge guarantees. Head over to WPTglobal.com and use bonus code YT35, and your first $110 Sunday Slam ticket is free.
Well, there you see Paul Volpe for the second WPT event in a row. His chip leader coming to the final table with $5.4 million. Erik Seidel in second place. That's what they're playing for. Over $1.1 million going to the winner tonight.
That's right. The antes are 5,000. Blinds are 15 and 30. To the felt we go. Chang, businessman out of Albany, California. Pretty close to here.
It's his fifth WPT cash.
He's going to quickly fold his hand.
Joe Keether going out.
Yep. Joe Nguyen also folding. Erik Seidel not going to play, so it's around the horn to Chris Johnson.
The battle of the blinds. Chris, a pro poker player. Plays cash games in Las Vegas for the most part. Up against one of the great tournament players in the world, Paul Volpe. It's ace-jack for Chris, and look, Paul's got ace-queen.
We started with like 2.8.
Yeah, Volpe with ace-queen. Nice kicker compared to Chris Johnson here.
You can see some big fireworks pre-flop, but no. Paul Volpe opts to just call with the ace-queen, going to camouflage the strength of his hand. Let's see how that works out for him. Well, flop 9-4 deuce, no help to anybody.
Action on Chris Johnson. He's going to slow down. No continuation bet. Checks to Paul Volpe. And Volpe's going to take control here, making a bet of 90,000.
Well, Chris going to make the call.
Chris in a bit of trouble right now.
Well, he's in a lot of trouble right now, Vince, as you point out, because he's drawing completely dead.
Queen, that is great for Volpe. Hitting his queens. Chris Johnson checks. Volpe going to stick in another bet, 200,000.
Well, Chris is going to make this call, and whatever he puts in here from here out, he's just throwing away, Vince. He cannot win this pot. Doesn't matter what comes up.
He's gotten stubborn. He's made the call. 8 of clubs on the river. Irrelevant card. Johnson going to check again.
Well, again, Volpe reaching for chips, and why not? Top pair, top kicker. 475,000 is the bet. And there you see Chris hitting the thinker position. What to do now?
Oh, boy. Don't do it to yourself.
Yep, he's done it.
26-year-old has done it. He's made the call. He's going to smart from that one. Paul Volpe, our chip leader, extends the chip lead in hand number 1.
Well, Chris recognizing Volpe's a very aggressive player. Steals a lot of pots.
There's the Royal Flush Girls Social Bar, a great addition where the beautiful Royal Flush Girls entertain whoever wants to go up there and talk to them.
Well, Chris Johnson just got the treatment right there from Paul Volpe.
We're playing fast, a quick fold by Joe Keether. Now Joe Nguyen, who is a telephone repairman, has raised it. Seidel out. Look at this, a re-raise by Chris.
How aggressive is this guy playing, Vince? 3 bets with the queen 10 here. Chris Johnson has come to play, folks, no doubt about that.
Telephone man's going to make the call, so we're going to see the flop. Here it is.
Flop 9-7 deuce, no help to either player.
And Joe Nguyen, the repairman, checks it now. Chris Johnson hitting nothing there is going to bet 150.
Well, Chris must have some kind of flight to catch out of here, is all I know, fast as he's playing.
He is playing fast. Joe Nguyen, the local, is going to make this call, though. He's in front. Good instincts. Here comes the turn.
Now an 8 comes off. This gives both players a straight draw. Joe with a gut shot straight, and as you can see, Chris with the open-ended straight, and it goes check, check.
Yeah, down to the river we go. 6 of hearts.
What a card for Chris Johnson. He's made a straight. But look at this.
Oh, boy.
Joe Nguyen is representing that he's made one, Vince. He's let out and bet 225,000.
Local telephone repairman. If he gets called or raised.
Well, for sure he's getting called. You want to raise it with a 10-eye straight, but you say to yourself, you know, what can the guy call me with? You know, that he doesn't have the same hand. And if he's got a 10-jack, I'll go broke here. So I think calling here is the correct thing by Chris. I like this call by Chris.
Telephone man just got hung up on.
So Chris Johnson taking down a pot. He can breathe a little sigh of relief, Vince, because it looked like he was off to a very slow start, but pitching that straight on the river is going to help his morale.
What a start here at Bay 101. This is good so far.
Well, no breather for Paul Volpe. Raises it up on the button with a 5-deuce offsuit. It gives you a glimpse of why Chris Johnson called him a minute ago, because this guy plays like
Look
this.
at this. Kai in with the little suited connector. And now Joe Keether from Vegas, 25 years old, also calling with King 10.
So we're going to have three-way action here. Flop his 5-4-3-2 clubs.
Uh-oh.
Look what Kai has flopped, folks. The nut straight with a straight flush draw. Well, he subtly checks it.
Joe is checked. Paul Volpe betting with the pair of fives. Oh, wow.
You know that Paul Volpe thinks that's a pretty good flop for him. Top pair and an open-end straight draw. Little does he know the kind of problems he's got here.
Kai Chang with the nuts, the cinch.
He does check raise it here.
Makes it 335 now. Keether going away, and now Volpe's saying, how much has this guy got?
Well, it's a $200,000 raise, so Paul can afford to make it. On the left of Paul Volpe's name, there are chip stack indicators. And as you can see, Paul Volpe, the chip leader.
Making the call. Here we go with the turn.
Queen of spade comes off. Paul Volpe drawing dead.
One.
And an all-in bet by Kai.
2.7 million bet. That's an overbet in my opinion. I mean, you want your opponent to play this hand. But the overbet runs Paul Volpe out of the pot.
Is that like 3 million?
Kai hoping he flopped two pair or something where he might call.
Got a bet to fold, right? Try. He's not gonna fold.
And this is a guy that graduated out of UC Berkeley. Tremendous school, of course.
That's one thing you like about Kai. He's competed in Ironman competitions.
He's a great athlete, huh? Back to this hand. Joe Nguyen is going to fold. Now the Erik Seidel. The great player is going to get warmed up. King 10 makes it 60,000. But right behind him, Chris Johnson with ace 10. Repops here, makes it 140 to go.
As you can see, Chris Johnson is a three-bet man. We saw him do it a minute ago with a queen 10. Now he's done it with an ace 10.
Everyone else releasing their hands back on Seidel. He's going to make this call. King 10 versus ace 10. And here come the first three.
Now flop is queen 7-3 rainbow.
Yeah, Seidel checks. Chris Johnson here. There's his wife, Brooke. And the young guy, 26-year-old, out of Henderson, Chris Johnson making the continuation bet. Erik Seidel's going to fold. And Chris Johnson playing fast and playing well.
WPT Global is your destination for big Sunday tournaments. You'll find tournament buy-ins at all levels and huge guarantees. Head over to WPTglobal.com and use bonus code YT35, and your first $110 Sunday Slam ticket is free.
Action on Erik Seidel, quick fold. Chris Johnson also out. And now Paul Volpe with a king 10 will raise to 80,000.
Okay, Chang right behind him. He's got the suited connectors you like to see flops with. He's also got position. He's going to make the call.
Now Joe Keether, out of Vegas, originally Wisconsin, will fold his hand. And Joe Nguyen.
Wow, a little surprised he'd fold that for 40,000, but he did.
So here we go. King 10 versus 8-7. And the flop comes up. Look at that. 3 queens.
Well, lucky ladies. 3 queens come out there. Well, Volpe going to make the continuation bet here.
Kai Chang with nothing. Going to make a min raise. Makes it 200,000.
He is going to represent that he's got a full house, some kind of small pair in his hand. Volpe not buying it and makes the call. What a call by Volpe here. Well, a jack comes off. And Paul's going to check. Could Kai possibly make another bet here, Vince? He is not slowing down, Vince. He is firing again. Just 150,000, though. Pot's got 650,000 in it. Will Volpe figure this out? Well, Volpe throws it away. Chalk that pot up to the aggression of Chang. Well played right there. Businessman, my foot, Vince. This guy is a poker player.
He's high. Show my quads.
A lot of imagination there by the guy that's a graduate of UC Berkeley. Right now, Paul Volpe, 5.8 million. Chang has now taken second chip position with 3.5.
Erik dropping down to third.
All right, back to the table we go. The next hand, Erik Seidel folds.
Chris Johnson looks down at a pair of jacks. Nice hand here. Comes in for 85,000.
Certainly does. A nice solid pair of jacks. Behind him, Paul Volpe with a queen 7 of hearts. Wow, he's getting out raising chips.
Well, he is 3-betting it up to 215,000. This sort of explains why Chris called him in that first pot. We've seen him raise with 5 deuce, 3 bets with queen 7s. Plays very aggressive, Volpe. Johnson knows it. Let's see what he's going to do now with the jacks as everybody else folds.
Go.
Well, he's just going to make the call. Not going to re-raise. So we have jacks up against queen 7 of hearts. And to the flop we go.
Flop comes king 5-3, so the overcard comes out there. You never like to see that when you get a pair of jacks. You don't want to see aces or kings come up, but it has. And Volpe has bet.
Bets 180 with his nothing. But this Chris he's tough and stubborn. He's going to make this call.
Yep, not going anywhere. Calls 180,000.
To the turn we go.
Oh, nice turn card there for Volpe. Gives him a flush draw.
Chris going to check again. Volpe now seeing an opportunity. He's bluffing with nothing, and now he's got a 4 flush. So he's going to stick out another bluff, it appears.
Well, he could take the free card off here if he wanted to. Forget about free cards with this guy. 440,000. And that will put the test to Chris Johnson. But Vince, he passed it with flying colors. Calls without hesitation here.
Auto call. Beautifully done by Chris. Down to the river we go.
I'll put the caution lights on right there for Volpe.
No flush for Volpe. Pairs the board with deuces.
Well, Chris checks. Volpe has got to understand if he got called on the turn, he's going to get called on the river. Will he throw more chips away? Nope. Smart enough to recognize he's going to get called on the river. He makes a good check on the river. Chris Johnson taking down the pot with jacks up.
Yeah, very nicely done by Chris Johnson. And there's his wife and family rooting him on. Pretty wide open. Action on Joe Nguyen. He's a telephone repairman out of Sunnyvale, California. This is his hometown casino. He folds the hand.
Yeah, Joe got in this tournament by winning a $500 satellite. What a parlay. Erik Seidel with the 2 deuces, going to raise it up to 80,000.
A lot of folds around to Joe out of Vegas. Now, he's got a pair of 4s here.
Well, you always want to see flops when you have small pairs.
Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. No raise. He just calls. Deuces versus 4s. Here's the flop.
Well, ace 8-5.
Helps neither player. Joe going to check.
Well, Erik's going to make the continuation bet. It's going to be tough for Joe to continue.
110, a TC flyer. Quick ejection by Joe. And the great Erik Seidel going to take a pot with just deuces. 6 players remain going after over 1.1 million at the Bay 101. We're coming back with more action on the World Poker Tour. Stay with us. Back down to Joe Keether out of Vegas. Quick fold by him.
And Joe Nguyen picks up the ace 8 of hearts.
He's going to raise 90,000 with it. Seidel and Chris Johnson out, as well as Paul Volpe.
Well, Chang looks down at ace 10 out of the big blind. He's going to make the call.
So 2-way action, 2 locals. Here's the flop.
9-7-3. Both players have backdoor nut flush draws and backdoor straight draws.
And they both check. To the turn we go.
Now 9 comes off now, pairing the board. You see Joe Nguyen with the nut flush draw, but you see Chang making a bet, 100,000.
But he's going to get called. And the river card is a 6 of diamonds.
Action on Kai.
I'm on.
Wow.
What the heck?
He goes all in here. Only 400,000 in the pot. Well, Joe Nguyen obviously can't call. Would take all his chips of 1.9 million to make this call, but
And he will release it.
Can't call if you have a pair, right?
Chang going to take this pot.
Well, Kai thought if he had a small pair, he'd lay it down.
There's John Nguyen in the audience. That's Joe's brother. Joe, of course, is a telephone repairman.
All the relatives coming out today, Vince. No doubt about it.
Lines are up to 25 and 50 now. Action's on Chris Johnson. And Chris is going to raise with a king 4 of diamonds. Call out.
Yeah, Kai Chang with the worst 2-card starting hand you can have and hold him. 7 deuce, lays it down.
Joe Keether also out. Now Joe Nguyen picking up a interesting 7-5 of diamonds. Will make this call and pray.
That's the kind of hand you like to see flops with, but you don't like to see those flops. King, queen, 10 with 2 spades, about as far away from your hand as possible. He checks.
Look decent for Chris, hitting top pair. Gonna make a continuation bet, 125.
And Joe Nguyen has no hand, no draw, but he's not mucked his hand here, Vince. Is he possibly going to raise this? He has check raised here with absolute goulash.
He's gonna get a little fancy here. He's gonna try a pop, 275 to go.
Well, Chris might think he's on a spade draw. Maybe he's got a jack in his hand, possibly a jack 10, whereas kings would still be good, so he makes the call with the kings.
You can't push around Chris Johnson too easily. We've seen tonight so far. Now look at this. Chris is making 2 pair here.
Yeah, he's made 2 pair. He's happy to see it, but
325.
he's still very nervous because there's a possible flush and a possible straight out there.
Joe's coming out with a bet, 325.
Well, Chris Johnson going nowhere.
Solid call by Chris Johnson. Down to the river we go. Joe has got to be sick at this point.
Well, the deuce of spade comes off, so 4 spades on the board. Neither player has a spade in their hand.
Complete quagmire for both players at this point, but look at this.
Wow.
Not for Joe.
800,000 he's bet, Vince.
He's just saying, if this guy doesn't have a big spade, I can win this perhaps.
And Vince, he's one of the short stacks making this kind of move. That is bold poker right there. He should shoot his arms up in the air.
He's going to show the bluff.
Oh, yeah. Put the salt in the moon right there. And Vince, you can't blame Chris Johnson for throwing it away. You just wonder if the 4 spade hadn't come up, would he have called on the river?
That river misses, you never fold. No, never.
Oh boy, he is playing now, and the crowd is loving it. Joe Nguyen, the local, making it work there. 6 players remain.
Good play, Joe. It's impressive.
And they are impressed at the table.
WPT Global is your destination for big Sunday tournaments. You'll find tournament buy-ins at all levels and huge guarantees. Head over to WPTglobal.com and use bonus code YT35, and your first $110 Sunday Slam ticket is free.
Right now, Kai Chang is now the chip leader, Mike, with 5.4. Volpe with 4.9. Right back to this very hand. Got a few folds around. Now it's on Joe Nguyen, who's got to be revved up by that last play. And he's going to raise here with a king 10.
How could you not be pumped after stealing a pot like that?
Erik Seidel now in the big blind is going to call this with a 6-7.
Well, Eric's got position on him, wants to see a flop here. Now flop comes king 5 deuce with 2 hearts. Joe flopping top pair here and checking.
That is right. No continuation bet. He's going to give the rope to Seidel, and Seidel is going to bite. He's going to try to bluff it at 125.
Well, look at this, Vince.
Joe with a quick call.
Well, Joe is walking the dog, as we say. You're checking to your opponent just to let them keep betting at the pot. Now there's 3 hearts on the board. Joe has top pair and a flush draw. Erik Seidel, of course, drawing completely dead. He's just going to try to keep bluffing at this pot. It's the only way he can win it.
Joe is checked into him again, and Seidel going to push in more of his hard-earned money, 290. And Joe now just going to call.
He's just going to check and call all the way down here, Vince. That's what it looks like to me. Just walking the dog to perfection right now. Let's see what happens on the river. Board pairs deuces.
Seidel with nothing now. Does Joe come out with a little potential value bet? No, he's going to check again.
He's checked all the way. Not going to bet now. And here comes Erik Seidel. Wow, 825,000. Vince, you just wonder, has Joe Nguyen seen the movie Rounders? Does he know who this guy is? He's checked and called him on every street so far, and he's done it again, and rightly so. Wow. Vince, he won the max possible by checking to the aggressive Erik Seidel and letting him bluff his money off.